Okay, I think we're going to get started now. Welcome to the Village Board Work Session meeting for Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 6:02 p.m. We're here in the Village Hall Boardroom. Megan, would you take roll call, please?
Trustee Wojka?
Here.
Trustee Bonaski?
Evening.
Trustee Mishler?
Here.
Trustee Briggs?
Here.
Mayor Domeratz?
Here. We have some guests here with us this evening. We have Xander Frassetto, hopefully I got that right this time, who in a few minutes is going to be our new Student Advisory Council member. We have Julie Melnick, who is our new Farmers Market Manager, and we have the members of the Fairport Public Arts Committee. I'm so excited that you're here this evening. And we have Jason Kaluza here with us tonight, which Jason's here, I'm sure, for the capital project update in a few minutes as well as some of our volunteers from our Fairport Farmers Market. So let's go ahead and get started. And item number one on new business is our Village Board Student Representative and the introduction, but I'm actually going to ask for a motion first. Can I have a motion and a second from the board to appoint Xander Frassetto, our Student Advisory Council member from April 28th, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Mishler?
Second.
By Trustee, wait,
Trustee
Yes.
did you say it? Yeah. Okay, I wasn't looking and I couldn't tell which end it came from. Seconded by Trustee Briggs. And Trustee Mishler, do you want to give us an introduction to Xander?
I sure do. So Xander was highly recommended by a family friend, and Xander and I met with the mayor and had a nice conversation about the roles as a student representative on the board, and talked about what we hoped Xander would get out of the opportunity. And also what he would get out of the opportunity as well. So we very much see this as a win-win, us learning and getting perspectives from our younger representatives, and also them learning about the inner workings of municipal government. So we are super thrilled to have him. And
Xander, would you like to come up and just say where you go to school and what year you are? And that's it. You can just go right over this microphone. We did not rehearse this in advance, but Megan's going to make sure that it's turned on for you.
Thank you. My name is Alexander Frassetto. I go by Xander in case any of you want to call me that. I go to Allendale Columbia School. I'm currently in 11th grade.
And we're excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and have a seat for 1 second, and I'd like to, if there's no other discussion.
I didn't know you went to AC. My son goes to AC as well. He's in 7th grade. We'll chat later.
Anybody else?
no, we're thrilled to have his perspective
Okay.
onto the board.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? That'll be unanimous. And welcome, Xander. Please come on up and join us up here at the desk on the side. That was a hard step.
Congratulations, Xander.
Congratulations. We're really happy that you're here tonight. And Trustee Wojka will be talking to you afterwards since her son goes to AC. Okay. That is item number one. Next time, Xander, one of us will go through the agenda with you and make sure that you understand what's on the agenda.
He's happy.
Okay. All right. Item number two is the Farmers Market Manager introduction. So we have a new Farmers Market Manager this year. Her name is Julie Melnick. And Julie, would you come on up here and maybe just give yourself an introduction to the board? And we're excited to have you.
My name is Julie Melnick. I grew up in Deerfield, Massachusetts on a still working dairy farm. My first job, aside from milking cows, was selling corn on a roadside stand. So I'm very familiar with lots of farmers and farming communities, and I never realized how many expectations they have. But hopefully the farmer's market starts this Saturday, and hopefully it'll be great. We're just gonna see what happens the first couple of weeks.
Are you getting cooperation from everybody who you need it from?
I mean, yes, mostly. There's a few crazy farmers, but that's to be expected. So
We have two wonderful volunteers in the audience tonight. You
Yes.
probably know Jan and Cheryl. Okay.
Jan and Cheryl, they have been a wealth of knowledge, and
Good.
will be there at the crack of dawn with me on Saturday. So,
Good.
yeah.
Well, maybe not both of them, but at
Oh,
least one of them will.
Yes, just Cheryl. Jan rolls in after her morning coffee. Yeah.
Well, thank you, board members.
Oh, I'm also Heidi's neighbor.
Oh,
so
I'm
that-
sorry, we cannot have you as the farmer's market manager. I was just going to ask, does anybody at the, on the board have any questions for Julie, or?
We're thrilled to have you.
Yes.
I'm just going to say
You're
welcome.
gonna do awesome.
Thanks.
It'll be
Welcome.
We'll stop down and say hello.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Very
I'm
much
going to
looking
need all the
forward to it.
support I can get, I think, the first couple of days.
Well,
No, you'll be great.
we're thrilled that you're here.
Well, thanks. I'm
So
excited. It's
we
been
can be
fun.
nice, and we can give Julie a round of applause too, because we're so happy that she took the job.
My husband told me I should curtsy, so,
Wait, sure,
That you
what?
should curtsy.
yes.
I look forward to seeing you on Saturday mornings.
It was
Thank
nice to
you.
meet everybody.
Nice to meet you,
Thanks.
Julie.
Okay.
All right, moving on to item number 3. We have members of the Fairport Public Arts Committee and a presentation from them. And who's doing the presentation? Sue or Pat?
It's going to be both of us. We're going to
Okay.
hand off. Yeah.
Do you want to just go through and can you all introduce yourselves so that
Yeah.
members of the board know who you all
Yeah.
are?
So I'm Sue Steele. I am a member of the Arts Committee. Pat is Drojak. Oh, Pat. No.
I did. It took me a long time to
Taking-
call you
yeah,
Pat Rapp
give me a
because I
moment.
think of you as Pat Drojak.
Yeah. Pat Rapp, who's the chairperson, will also be presenting tonight. We've got Vanessa Sheldon. She's also a member of the committee. And Joel is a volunteer with the committee, past member. And he's here both as a volunteer, but we'll be giving a report, like our annual report for the Arts Committee. And then also, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, well, no, I'm just, while you're wrapping up, I got a quick question right before you start.
Okay, and then we'll also present our recommendations for the artwork being proposed for the back of the wayfinding signs. So kind of two pieces of the presentation today. Go ahead.
Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing here? I'm seeing Campbell soup. I'm seeing the
sure,
soup cans.
Sure, you're seeing a template that was offered by Google.
Oh, wow. I saw Campbell soup. I was like, oh, the Arts
but-
Committee, I get this.
Yeah,
Great.
sure. No,
Sue.
it's a Google template.
Andy Warhol.
This
did.
is not, oh yeah, yeah.
right.
I thought it was a plug to Andy Warhol
Right.
with this Campbell soup.
It is not,
Okay.
it is not, but, yeah, there was two scarecrows.
Okay, sorry.
No, okay.
So Sue,
So, yes.
before you get started, how long have you been with the Public Arts Committee?
So I was the founding chairperson for the committee, so that's 9 years ago. I was also part of the Public Art Plan Development Team, was our official name. I had to go back and look at that. I'll give a little bit of information about the Arts Committee and just public art because, well, I'll get into the presentation. But I'll give you some history, I'll give you a little bit of update, and then Pat's gonna go through what happened last year, what's coming this year.
Sounds
Where do I
terrific.
point this? Just hit the button, it's not doing it. Oh, there it went. There it went. I
Sit
think
back
I
down.
have to point it up there. I think I do have to point it. Okay. So we give this presentation, we spruced it up this year, but we give this presentation every year to the Board of Trustees. So a lot of the content is the same, but I'm just going to revisit it because although we're here every year to tell you guys what we do, what we expect from the village, and what we understand our mission to be, I think it's good to revisit it every year because everyone has a million things going on, right? So from the public art plan, which is the adopted plan for the village, it's identified goals for the committee. And those are listed here, and the highlights are that our goal is to enrich the village civic and cultural heritage, promote a rich, diverse, stimulating cultural environment, and expand the reach of the public art plan. So that's really working with the town of Perrington, which we've done in some capacity in some small areas, but we are really looking to and trying to identify ways to broaden our range.
You made that car honk out there. There you go.
I went to-
There you go. Wait, now. Oh,
I gotta go back. Is it this laptop? All right.
Oh.
Wait, yeah.
Testing.
Oh, there you go. Do you want to put the cover? Okay. Round two. So what I have up on the slide right now is just a list of the current members. So Pat, as I mentioned, is the chairperson. Bryce Doty is our vice chair. He's on the committee as an art and design professional. I am the secretary, art and design professional. Vanessa Sheldon is also an art and design professional. Tracy is our liaison to the Board of Trustees. Nancy Regis is our representative from the Fairport Perrington Partnership. And we currently have a vacancy with the Merchants Association. We do have a couple interested candidates, but we are seeking to fill that position. And our current most active volunteer is Joel, who we will never let go. Okay, so this is a really long list. So there are bylaws and they outline like a million things that we are responsible for and quite a few things that the village is responsible for. We have broken this down to just like the 6 top things that we understand our charge as the committee. So, and you'll see that, fun fact, we don't create or make public art for the village. We facilitate projects. We make recommendations. So you'll see in all of the things that we do is we provide expertise and guidance. We seek funding opportunities and administer grant applications. We review capital improvement plan with the village and identify opportunities to incorporate public art. We coordinate and facilitate the public art acquisitions, which I'll go through and give a little history of some of the accomplishments we've had just over the course of our committee's existence. And then we also serve as a community liaison, so we advocate for public art projects. So there have been community members who have come to us with projects and we help provide guidance to them on how to go through the process with the village or direct them to where their project may be most appropriate. And then we maintain visible community presence. So we show up at community events and try to make the community aware of the resource that we offer to the community, and then also some of the great things that our village is doing so that we hit all of those rankings that we're hitting of being like one of the hottest places in the state or the country, I guess, which is incredible. Okay, and then what you do. So what the village does for the committee is supporting our funding options, so necessary for projects, which you've done time and time again for us. Consider appropriations for public art in new or renovated village facilities, which you have done consistently. And then also encourage and promote public art activities. I think when Pat goes through some of the projects that we've accomplished and things that are coming up, a lot of them come from the Board of Trustees, where we've heard from Brian, the village manager, who likes arts, I think, more than just about anyone in this room. He's got lots of wild ideas. So thank you for all that you do supporting the bylaws and what we understand is your role in supporting arts and contributing to the vibrancy of our village. So we had the great opportunity, Mayor Julie came to our recent our committee meetings, and it prompted us to look back on the 15 years in which, when the formation of the Public Art Plan development team was established, and to look back and see kind of like what happened, what's the timeline, because I know there's new trustees, and while you've seen this presentation, every year, we haven't really looked back at like what have we done over the course of how did we get formed, and what have we accomplished. So I'm just going to go through a little timeline. I'm not going to take a ton of time, and now you have these slides. So in 2010 is when the development team was formed, and they were charged with developing the public art plan. This shows the members of that development team. It was a team of very skilled professionals. They did a lot of work working with the Greater Rochester Arts and Cultural Council and other experts in the area of public arts to prepare the best practices and recommendations that were in the public art plan, which was, I believe the public art plan was actually submitted and accepted in 2012, but when it was adopted, it was a little bit later. And it changed a little bit to meet the needs of the current board at that time. But as you can see on this slide, of the members, Joel, our amazing volunteer, and myself have been involved since that time. So we have a lot of institutional knowledge and continued participation in the public arts in the village. This thing doesn't like me. No? I just have to hit it 3 times. It's like 3 times. So then in 2012, the public art plan was accepted by the Board of Trustees at that time. In 2015, the public art plan that was adopted. So that 2015 plan, it was great that Julie's been coming to our last couple meetings, because for the first time, this committee saw that plan. So we had only had the 2012 plan in our committee documents and in our records. So we've gone through that plan, and a lot of the changes don't really change how we function. It was just a little bit of clearing up of some of the vocabulary used to define commission versus committee, from the recommendations from the plan to what is actually adopted. So it doesn't change our charge, what we understand to be our charge. And we're glad that that was given to us. 2016 is when we started meeting. So in 2016, the committee started meeting, and as soon as that fall, we were asked to participate in a global mural conference. And that was the start of our public art acquisitions for the village. We did not work with the village on the mural conference. That was an outside organization that came in, but we did participate, meet people in the arts community, and the Rotary Club ended up acquiring, purchasing this mural from an artist from, I believe she is from Venezuela, maybe, or Argentina. So this is an international artist and mural artist that we have one of her works thanks to the Rotary Club. But this work was not commissioned by the Arts Committee. We just participated in the conference. This thing is driving me nuts. No, it's okay. Yeah, do you want to do it? Next slide. Because otherwise we're going to be jumping around. Okay, so then that was 2016. 2018, we worked with OSED on 2 installations. So we supported them and facilitated the process with the 2 installations, the signage in Thomas Creek, which I'm sure you've all seen, and the Animatic sundial. So it's an interactive sundial. I always call it the interactive sundial because that word trips me up every time. So it's an interactive sundial where you stand in a spot and it tells you what time it is. And Vanessa Sheldon at the time was an artist selected for that work, now currently on the committee, several years later. That was 2018. Next slide. So that's Vanessa's work near the wetlands. Next slide. The signage. And that's Joy Taylor was the sculptor in 2017 for that. Next slide. Okay, and then 2019, we facilitated, this was our first art call. So this was the first time where the Arts Committee actually had a budget, ran a call for art, and helped the village acquire and made the recommendation to purchase this piece. Next slide. Juan Carlos, a sculptor and teacher at RIT. In 2019, we commissioned that for Kennelly Park. Next slide. 2021, so we're on a roll. The artistic railing, so the train viewing platform needed support and had an opportunity to incorporate art into the train viewing platform. And we ran a call for art for that. And Joy Taylor, next slide, who had done the wayfinding sign, submitted again and actually ended up being the successful selection for the metal railings for the train viewing platform. Next slide. And then in 2021, we were approached by a community member with a donation, so we made the recommendation to accept that as a sculpture to be installed in Kennelly Park. Next slide. And that is the bronze mule, who has yet to be named, but that will happen someday. Our bronze mule is in Kennelly Park, so it's 2021. Next slide. And then this past summer, we completed the acquisition after doing a call for art and had an unsuccessful installation and decommissioning of an artwork, unfortunately, but we have a successful installation in Bicentennial Park, next slide, from Michael Rogers. So that was another call for art that we did, and a lot of lessons learned in the acquisition and facilitation and contracting process, but I think we ended up with a wonderful sculpture. So as you can see, next slide, we have quite a few projects and quite a few different processes that we've followed, from running calls for art, managing donations, and coordinating with other organizations within the village to facilitate their art acquisition process.
A lot of different media types too.
Yeah.
It's nice. The variety is nice.
So then next slide. So on top of that, through all of this, annually, we are also participating in community events and making sure that the community members in the village are aware of the existence of the committee and that the village supports what public art does, both from an economic development and tourism standpoint in our village, and contributes to it being as vibrant as it is. So those are just some of the events that we have. The Plein Air Festival has turned into, thanks to Pat and all of her hard work, because she does chair that event, a huge fundraising initiative, great tourism and publicity. It is a wonderful event we're going into our fourth year. I was sleeping last year. We participate in Canal Days with the chalk contest for the community. We comic book workshops, 6x6 art making events. Pat will get into how successful that was this year. We've done film screenings. We've participated in the Fringe Fest to get our presence outside of just the village. And then we sell the duck race tickets. We've participated in the Scarecrow Festival, Winter Market. So we show up wherever we can show up and whenever there's an opportunity for arts events. The biggest thing this year, kind of new to this, is the Arts and Cultural Plan Steering Committee for the City of Rochester and Monroe County. Next slide. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then other activities that we've participated in. A lot of grant applications, some successful, some not, but we're getting our name in the hat and out so that people are aware that we exist and we're looking to get work done in the village. And then some temporary installations as well. Next slide. So this year, the City of Rochester and Monroe County approached us to participate in their plan, their arts and culture plan. So as a steering committee member, I was invited to participate both professionally from my experience with public art as a landscape architect, but then also as a liaison and advisor from the Village Public Arts Committee. Additionally, we in the village of Fairport are one of the only, if not the only, community that has a public art committee. So their national consultants did come and meet with us, and we opened it up to the artist community to contribute to the shaping of the county and city's plan. So that we've been following that. There's nothing to report as of what their plan has developed, like what their recommendations are, but they do have a percent for the arts plan that is open to the community beyond just the city of Rochester. It incorporates the county, and we're hopeful that that will benefit the village at some time. Next slide. Okay, so I think this is my last slide. Basically, the public art guidance and expertise. We want the Board of Trustees and we want the community to know that we are here to offer the community guidance or advisement as a community resource. So whether it's advising someone who might be going after a grant, the importance of public art, the economic development and tourism initiatives we have access to as member for American for Arts, nonprofit, we have access to a lot of documents, research, and studies and best practices to help people understand what art can do for the community, how to get involved and advocate, or grants that might be available. So these are just some of the things that we're going to focus a little bit more on, especially as we try to get more successful with our grant applications. We are primed for a grant award after a few submittals. Okay, so that's that. Oh, just more of that, as we put some of these talking points together, that study hadn't come out about, or that whatever ranking that we had, that national ranking hadn't come out, and it's like, we are a very vibrant community. People are starting to see that, and we're getting ranked, and I think the work that we do with public art only supports that, especially from a tourism and economic development standpoint. Next slide. Okay, so that's all I have. I'm going to let Pat go through the year in review and what's coming in 2025, and then we can both kind of field questions after. Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Sue. Sue has so much knowledge of our committee, and it's really, really an asset to the whole community. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about the engagement. Sue talked about the City of Rochester and Monroe County Arts and Culture Plan Steering Committee's engagement. Some of the things that we did this past year, we had our third plein air festival, and we had 26 artists, including 2 that were from Quebec. So it was our first international event where we had artists from out of the country. We sold 4 paintings. We were able to engage with the village shuttle to get the artists around, and they really appreciated that. We had the chalk art contest at Canal Days, which is always a huge success. We had comic book workshops that we held in conjunction with Fairport Library. We had one in May and then another one in August. And the funding, we split the cost with the library, and that came out of our budget that the village provides for us, so we appreciate being able to do that. The 6x6 art making events, last year we had it at Faircraft, and we had, I believe it was 40 some, maybe 46 art pieces that were created. So what we do is we bring all the art supplies, we show up, we invite the community, and people make little 6-inch by 6-inch works of art, including some people right here at this table. And then I gather those up and take them down to Rochester Contemporary Art Center and donate them. And I believe it's in June, they hang them up on the wall, and people can come in and purchase them for $20 each. And that's their big fundraiser for the year. So we're contributing to the community, the larger community as well with that one. Our Scarecrow Festival is a fun event, but it's also part of our educational component. So each year we pick an artist and we create a scarecrow that reflects that artist, their work, or the artist themselves. And there's a laminated sheet that gives information about the art and the artist, and then there's a QR code so people can get more information. It's a way to provide a fun educational activity as well as as letting the community know that the art committee exists. Next slide. Art installations last year, as Sue mentioned, Beacon was installed in the Bicentennial Park. And it was actually, the discussion about the wayfinding panel enhancements began last year, and then that was just installed this spring. Next slide. So grants received, we apply for a lot of grants. We've been successful in receiving grants for the plein air event. So 3 years in a row, we've received a grant from Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor, because this is a Reimagine the Erie Canal Plein Air Festival. And then 4 years in a row, we've received a grant from the Local Development Corporation, also known as OSED. So that funding, the grants that we receive, covers the cost of the prizes for the artist, the judging fees, photography fees, and this year we were able to have some advertising on WXXI and at the Little Theater, which gave us more, it broadened our audience by being able to advertise. So that grant money is well used, and then this ends up being a fundraiser for us. The art sales, we get a small percentage split with the artist, and ticket sales and donations and things like that. So it's become a successful fundraiser for us. Next slide. So in 2025, we've got some plans for engagement, art installations. We're going to talk about finances and our organization. Next slide, please. So engagement, we had this year's 6x6 party in March, and we held it at the Fairport Public Library. This year we had 64 works of art that we donated. We have plans to name the mule. We talked about it last year, but then with this being the bicentennial, we were like, wait a minute, let's do that this summer. So we do have plans to engage with the donor of the mule and finally have a fun mule naming contest for the community. Comic Book Week with the library takes place in May. The chalk art contest will take place again in June. And the farmers market, we participate there with the ticket sales for the duck race, the Canal Days duck race. And we frequently bring our little duck race for the kids to play with. The Scarecrow Festival will have a scarecrow again. Plein air is going to take place September 28th this year, and it will be held at Faircraft again. We'll participate in the winter market, and then we continue to seek grants constantly. This is something that Vanessa has been very helpful, and Sue, they have worked really hard to try to get us some grants. Next slide, please. So these are some of the opportunities that we're looking into, and by we, I mean Sue and Vanessa. The New York State Council on the Arts has grants that support artists or support organizations, large capital improvement grants. National Endowment for the Arts has grants for art projects, and the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Corridor, which has supported the plein air. They also have tourism infrastructure and amenity support programs, tourism infrastructure support, and event support. And then there's also the Monroe County grants for public arts that Sue mentioned earlier. Next slide. So art installations that we would like to see happen this year is the wayfinding sign art panels, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. We'd like to get a selfie spot or a sculpture on the public art trail along the canal. Andy May, who works for DPW, created this really cool sculpture, and we would like to see that get installed someplace in the village. And then we're going to have the live street chalk at Canal Days again. Next slide. Okay, finances. Our account balances, as I mentioned, the plein air is a huge fundraiser for us, and we also sell T-shirts and things like that. And all of that money goes to the Fairport Foundation. That's our account that we use for outreach, like programs and events. The Village of Fairport gives us a budget line of $5,000 each year, and we really appreciate that. That in the past we used that for a lot of organizational things like getting our website up to date and getting it on track with social media and things like that. The funds for this we use for operational and administrative costs and things like artist stipends, PR and marketing, materials, etc. And then, oh, wait, at the very bottom, I want to thank Brian for facilitating us getting a donation from MEUA, which is Municipal Electric Utilities Association. And every year they hold a raffle, and at their, I guess it's your annual conference, they hold a raffle, and Brian recommended the donation go to the Fairport Public Arts Committee, and we really appreciate that. Next slide. So our budget, what we're thinking of this year is, these are the amounts that we're gonna use up out of what we have. The Fairport Foundation will use about $4,000 for events and materials for the chalk contest, the plein air, the scarecrow, 6x6, and probably some other activities that we haven't dreamed up yet. The Village of Fairport, those funds will go towards things like printing and art supplies, maintaining our website, and we'd like to use it for small public art stipends. So we had been calling it Random Acts of Art, but we're revamping how we're going to do that, where it's going to be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not a call for art. Contest, yes, thank you. Being up here, it makes the word contest leave my brain. Anyway, and we'll have people apply for that, and it'll be more like art contest for smaller amounts of money as opposed to an art call for a large amount of money. $25,000 from the Merchants Association. We plan to apply for that for an art installation on the public art trail. Next slide, please. And this is our spreadsheet, which I will forward to Brian and Megan, of our village account for this past fiscal year. The plan was to use $5,000 to leverage grants for the public art trail, but we did not get that grant. So the balance we're anticipating will go to the Random Acts of Art, or the small artist stipends. We're hoping that we're able to get that ASAP, because we know the books close in June 1st. So we're working on that as quickly as we can.
I'll pause you right there. Megan, when do they have to have everything to you? All their bills?
Oh, okay, July, okay. Okay, we were shooting for spending it by May so that we wouldn't run into an issue. Okay, May 31, okay, thank you. But you need to know. Okay, thank you, I'll make sure that you have all of our plans. Yep, thank you. Okay, next slide. And then additional funding, the Fairport Parent and Merchants Association, through the duck sale race, they gathered that money from the duck sale, and that money is earmarked for public art. So it's not the art committee's money, but it is money that we can ask for, and they have always been very generous in helping us with the sculptures and murals and things like that. So yeah, so we can apply for that funding. And next slide. So we want to thank you for being so supportive of the art committee and the arts in the Village of Fairport. We appreciate everything that the board has done for us. We'd like to ask if you would continue to support us at that $5,000 annual budget level. We'd like to be included with a link on the village website, because we're a committee of the board.
I'll answer that right now. Done.
Huh?
It's done.
Done? Oh, thank you.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're at fairportart.org. And then Evolve with us. So reviewing and updating the bylaws and roles with us, we would like to have that conversation. And
we've already included you in the budget
oh, thank you.
for next year.
Excellent, thank you.
So number 1 is done. Number 2 will be done tomorrow. And number 3, let's plan a date and we can sit down and work through some of that.
That sounds great. Thank you. We appreciate that. And does anybody have any questions for Sue or for me?
Just comments.
Okay.
I mean, I
come
think
down
it's an understatement how much the committee does to bring vitality to this community. I think it's just incredible. And it's only getting better.
Thank you very
So
much.
I love the interactive piece as well, bringing the children in, and it's just so great. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. And next slide is going to be Sue.
Hang on just a second.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
there are other
sorry.
questions.
Go
So
ahead.
Tracy, it looked like you were going to make a comment or a question.
At Canal Days, we've even brought in some professional artists that really inspire the kids, to have the chalk artists themselves creating chalk art as well.
Yeah.
And then open it to the community.
Yes, that was a huge benefit. I think was that last year, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Did you have something, Adam?
Well, you said next slide. So did we jump the gun with the Q&A?
Oh no. This is our annual report presentation, and then Sue is going to present the wayfinding sign recommendations to the board.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Okay, do you want to
Yeah,
come back
like
after that?
yeah. I kind of want
Okay.
to see the whole
Are you
caboodle.
good too? Okay, I have a question about the mule naming. What is your unofficial plan to get that done this year?
The unofficial plan is to
We're not recording this to hold anybody to this, but just curious what.
Yeah, the unofficial plan is to get in touch with the donor and tell her the names that the students provided. And if there's anything that she outright says, nope, then we would take that
So-
off the list.
Do we have some names
We
that?
do.
Okay, because I know you were going to go to like Jefferson Ave.
Yes, from the
And-
Jefferson Avenue students, which
Okay.
is where the donor's son went to
Yep.
elementary school, and which is why she wanted that group involved. So now it's a matter of making contact with her, just running them by her first, and then putting them out to the community.
Okay.
So-
I was just,
Yeah.
it's been a long
It's been a
time
long
coming, and we've discussed it a few times, and I just wanted to know where it was.
It's kind of been on the back burner. We had a pandemic for a while, and then
Yeah.
we got busy doing other things.
Well, it was going to be part of the Bridge Up plan,
Yeah,
and then
all that, yeah.
all that stuff. So,
Yeah. So-
that's good to hear that it is moving forward.
This is the
even if it's
bicentennial, so
slowly.
it's like, if we don't do it now, then it's, might not ever happen, so it's gonna have to happen.
I know
Yeah.
the donor will be super excited too.
Yes, I
She
know.
would, yeah.
She would, it's been a long time for her to wait.
I think that was the only thing that I wrote a note about there. Please keep going with the presentation unless somebody else has something. Xander, do you have any questions? Okay, great. That's okay.
All right, then, I'll trade places.
You'll find it's okay to not have
It's
any
okay to
comments.
not have any comments or questions. I just don't want to leave you out and not ask you.
Okay, so that's our annual report. I'm going to go into an actual specific project. So the wayfinding sign temporary enhancement project, longest name ever. Don't know what to call this project. So we, as part of our normal process for any public art that we are helping facilitate in the village, we typically come to you, make a recommendation, get approval, and then it goes forward. This project, we had a slight snafu, whereas one of the sign panels is already installed. So we apologize for the miscommunication on that piece. It is like blinding right there. Sorry, it's like every time I look away, I'm like, God. Oh, thank you. That wasn't bothering you? Okay. I'm like, I just have this like dark spot.
All you have to
for,
do
like,
is ask, and
yeah.
I'm very happy to put
Yeah, I
it
have
down.
no problem asking. So we know that one of the sign panels was installed, and we didn't come to you to present that idea. So apologize on behalf of the committee for that first sign being installed and lack of communication on that piece. But what I will do today is present the whole project to you and make the recommendation for all the remaining panels. And we can have discussion about those. All the clickers working. So excited. Okay. So what I'm here today to do is to make the recommendation for 6 artworks for the 6 remaining signs for the back side of the wayfinding signs. Everyone knows the signs and locations, right? Okay. And we're seeking approval for the recommendations that we're making today. Just a little bit of background. We were approached with this idea of putting artwork on the back of those signs because they are big blank spaces and it's like asking to be graffitied, really. So we'll fill it with art so it won't be graffitied. We have been working with Joel, who you've heard his name several times. He is our best volunteer ever, former committee member, has been involved with the Arts Committee, but he also is a business owner with Turning Point Signs. And he has been engaged because he is the expert and has been able to advise us on the materials and installation process for this semi-temporary, well, it is temporary, but it's semi-permanent in that it's up for more than 1 year, these installations. So they're durable materials that will be printed and adhered to the signs, but can be removed easily if there's ever an issue with them. And we formed a subcommittee within the Arts Committee to identify artwork that was appropriate for the panels, and we'll go through the process of that today. So our approach was understanding that we have a shortened timeline. We could not do a call for art. For those who've seen the projects that the Arts Committee has, the process we've used for an RFP, request for proposals, or RFQ, request for qualifications, it's a lengthy process to acquire art following best practices in the village. So in order to meet the shortened timeline, wanting to get these up before high season in the village, we knew an art call was not feasible. So we followed a different process and determined that if we could acquire available artwork that's thematically connected to the village, we could use that as long as we can get it licensed and we have the rights to use it. That would be an appropriate use. The committee, we have a strong connection to Canal Days because the duck race sales and the proceeds from that do benefit us in our art installation. So we were aware that the posters from that could be used for this initial kind of temporary installation. Those posters are available, and the, Joel, correct me, it's the merchants, or the Canal Days has the rights, or the
Merchants Association owns the rights through Canal Days.
So we have artists' permission to use the artwork without having to go through some other process for putting artist artwork up without their permission. So, so when the posters are submitted, they sign away their rights that this committee can then use the artwork in whatever way they seem appropriate for marketing for the village. So our selection criteria, the subcommittee's selection criteria was it has to be readily available. So the artwork itself has to be readily available. There's a poster selected every year, but we needed one that was digitally available for use. Compelling composition. We wanted the sign panels to span many years, so we were capturing the many years of Canal Days, and we wanted to reflect various styles and media. So we didn't want, similar to, I think, maybe, Emily, it was your comment earlier, the artwork in the village is just, it's so diverse. We have a really great collection, a broad spectrum of artwork in our village, which is fantastic. We wanted these panels to kind of do the same thing. So this is the initial selection that we have, and we're recommending, and I'll show you, we also have a photo sim. Joel was able to put a photo sim of these in their location. So these are the 5, I'm sorry, there are 6, but there's 1 already installed. So the 5 that we're recommending. So they span from 2011, 2012, 2014, 2019, and 2023. All of these met the criteria, again, available, compelling, spanning the years, and various styles and media. And the committee, the selection, so these were selected, there were like 8 or 10 selected by the subcommittee, but then the Arts Committee met and we narrowed it down to these 5 as the ones to move forward. The composition was really important. So while there's a lot of Canal Days posters to choose from, when they get divided up and put in this ratio of these specific sign panels, they get cropped kind of funny. So these worked the best of all of the ones that we had available and were selected preliminarily by the committee. And some of just the comments from the selection discussion was that they recognize the canal, they inspire civic pride, and again, they meet all of the criteria. Any comments before I go into, or questions about these before I go into the photo sims, or you want to just see what they look like?
Sue, this might be a silly question. Why
No,
are
no
they
silly
separated
questions.
into two?
So there's two. We'll just jump right into the first photo sim. See how it's two panels? So because of this cropping, it really was, and I commend Joel on his efforts and time he spent doing the cropping and layout, because it was not, I mean, we were all sitting around like, well, can't you just shift it here and crop it here and blow it up here or shrink it? And you can. There's very specific dimensions to work within and the cropping. And while they do have the rights to the artwork, they can't manipulate it in a way that would be beyond what's allowed in their agreement when the posters are submitted. So this is the first installation at Post A, parking lot A, and that one is the one that's completed, again, installed prior to us getting ahead of you. There is a small, and this is really blurry, and I apologize my rendering on this, but there's a recognition line at the bottom. Each poster does need to, because it is the artwork used by the merchants in Canal Days, it does have to have recognition to them so that it's understood that it's being used by the appropriate owner of the artwork. So that's why there is a little recognition line that goes at the bottom, and you can see it. Does this have a little pointer? Does this have a pointer? Oh, it does, yeah. So you could see it like right down there. There's just going to be a little like faded line, and the color of it will match the, obviously, like it's green on green. It'll blend in, so it's not advertising. It's just giving recognition to the artist and also the owner of the artwork. So this is A, location A. It's not working. Oh, there it is. Okay. So location B and C. So you can, I don't need to explain these locations to you. So B is, that's the composition of that selected artwork. I don't have all of the artists' names. I do have them. I didn't bring them. If you need that information, Joel, I'm sure, has it and can pipe in here. I know it's Lorraine Staunch on the left and on the right. Yeah. And again, they span several years and years, probably beyond my involvement with some of this.
Lorraine's painting is in my kitchen. I stare at it every day.
Okay, so you're a fan of
Yes.
that one. So B and C and locations D and E. I'm trying. There. And then this is the one outside Village Hall here. So we felt that the artworks themselves can stand alone. We think that we felt that as a committee, the placement in the specific locations were relevant. Together as a collection, they show different, like, iconic features and trademarks of our village. And they show a very diverse style of artwork across the whole collection. So today we're seeking approval for these so that we can authorize Joel to proceed with fabrication. The Arts Committee is covering the costs of this through our budget and the budget that the village grants us in the annual budget. And we'll be using those funds to have all of these fabricated. And I know Joel has coordinated with both Jason and Brian on materials and installation and maintenance and all of those things. So we are comfortable because the village is comfortable with those current.
Sue, I know that this is, it's acceptable to use the artwork because we have permission from the applications. Will the artists, though, be notified? Or have they already been notified about?
No one's been notified.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So none of this, so we're recommending this, we're seeking approval. No one's been notified of anything. I don't know that with the licensing that you even are required to, probably not. Yeah, yeah. They're not required to, with the licensing of the artwork, to notify. Whether a courtesy notification would occur or not, I think that's
seems
up
like
to, that's up
seems like a nice
to,
touch to it.
yeah.
Heidi, did you have a question, or Adam? I was going to start at this end.
Sorry, at one point, I know you were talking, I was looking, I was making sure I understood where each of them were. I thought I heard you mention something about coordinating with Jason.
So Joel, who's fabricating, has coordinated with
Okay.
Jason on installation materials and
All right.
maintenance.
And
yeah.
there we go. I was just maintenance,
Yeah.
because in case something happens, something has to get cleaned or whatever,
What happens
we
if they
know.
get tagged?
Sorry?
Is there
What happens if
graffiti,
they get tagged?
is there graffiti coating on them, or are they, okay.
As a temporary installation, we didn't do that, but our experience has been with most of the artwork that we've seen within the village, that the artwork doesn't seem to get tagged as much as surfaces that are not.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a great example of that. I think that's a really great question. There's a mural that we supported a high schooler, Mallory. Oh, anyway, she went to do a Girl Scout project in the village, didn't have a great space. She went to the town of Perrington. It's on the pedestrian bridge over the canal. We worked with her in selecting a location. Unfortunately, it was like outside of our jurisdiction, so we didn't have to bring it to this board for recommendation. It hasn't been tagged maybe once. Maybe there was one. I mean, that wall was a constant maintenance problem for the town, and it doesn't get tagged.
It's more tagging, I think, on the surface that you walk
Yeah,
on
I know,
now.
I know.
That one's
Well,
always
they
tagged.
put a mural on there now.
Okay, so I have that. I suppose we could talk later. The geeky part of me wants to know, okay, well, what is this? You said it's like a temporary thing. You know, what's it made out of? How does it stick? How does it come out? I'm just curious because knowing some of that stuff, and frankly, as the profession that I'm in, you know, if I'm working somewhere and I go, oh, this is a really cool thing that we did in the village, where I'm from, this is a material. So maybe we can just, at some point.
We can get you all of the specs on the
That'd be cool.
material. Yeah, I mean, what we do with, I guess something that I should share, when we do any commissions of public artwork, we have an artist is required to give us the durability and maintenance, like manual or information for care for the sculptures, and then we provide that to the village, and then we should be staying on top of that and making sure everything's maintained, but we do have all of that documented. So we would have that for this as well.
And is it the design, are we saying like a year, 2 years?
Yeah, so the media is
Joel, do you want to come up here?
Oh.
And
Sorry.
Well, I mean,
I opened the box with that question.
As the fabricator, I think it's important to hear from Joel.
So the media that we're using on this one is a short-term to mid-term, I would say, up to 4 years.
Okay.
But the plan we've developed with this is to actually go through and allow the one that's in place now to go through next year's Canal Days. So it'll be just over a year that that's been up. And that way, we're certain that it will be able to be removed, okay? And that will give us a basis for how long the rest of them, which are intended to be put up, for a longer period of time, how long those will be. And then we would like sunset the next one at 2 years, and then 3 years. I don't want to get to the point where we're pushing it too far into the range where, okay, now those adhesives are starting
Right,
to break
the edges
down.
start to fray and it all starts getting a little
and more
cruddy.
so, it's more difficult to get it off. But it's specifically designed to be a removable media material for that period of up to 4 years.
No, I think this is really neat. Right now we have, the theme of the posters, and then it could morph into other themes as the years go on. So I think this could be really neat. Yeah, it sounds good. Like you've talked with Jason, because those were really, in my mind, those were kind of the main concerns. Was just like when it first went up, I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Do we know what we're doing here? How is this going? How are we going to take care of it? Because we want to make sure it looks good. ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's what everybody wants it to be. So I think that was the only thing really related to these. There might be a few other things once we're kind of through, but yeah, I think this is neat. I think I know what those all are. Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. I love the idea of using the excuse me, the Canal Day signs as like the beginning pieces for this installation. I think it's really awesome. I have actually 2 of those hanging in my house. And my other question is just in terms of like communication, because I know there was like that whole snafu. Would it be something we would want to move toward to have like a form or like just some kind of like written communication about, hey, this is the art we want, this is the media it's going to be, this is what we're going to need from the village in terms of like place for installation, and whether we need something from, or whether something's needed from DPW or Fairport Electric, depending on what the installation is.
For any specific installation or project, the typical, so this was kind of an atypical project because
Okay.
it was generated by others and brought to us to facilitate. When a project comes from us, like Pat mentioned that one of the next projects we are focusing on is the public art trail. So we presented this numerous times. It's something that's been in the works. We've been unsuccessful with grant applications, but we have enough funds through the support of the duck race sales that we feel confident that we can go after and do a call for art with those funds and some other funds that we can leverage from our own accounts. And in that process, we would identify the project that we want to pursue. Before going to a call for art, we would sit down with the folks that need to be at the table, Jason, Brian, whomever else, and make sure that we identify what do we need the artist to include in their costs, what is the village going to do in kind. So for Kennelly Park, we did that. We understood what was going to be done by the artist, what was going to be done by the village. So, and then there were some late ads where lighting was added after the fact, right? We want to avoid those things. We want to avoid after the fact, but sometimes life happens. I don't know. I mean, everyone thought it was good enough idea that they came together to make it happen, right? But in a project where we're looking at doing a call for art that might be in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, we want to button all of that up, make sure the engineering, insurance, everything is covered in the call for art up front, and we're not having a where can we find or get someone to do something later. This project, the items were kind of ironed out. We have panels, we just need to identify material and installer to install, and maintenance had to be acceptable by the village. So the mishap was coming to you before something got up on a sign.
Thank you.
I think to tie into what Heidi's saying is sometimes there's not these big projects, there's small projects. And with so many activities going on in the village all the time, without something of substance, it can be a one-pager which says we're gonna paint, and this is talking about the lizard feet, duck feet, whatever they were.
Yeah.
Just something, or whether it's a transformer or
Sure.
just like a one-pager
So
so that.
any project would definitely come before you, and I think that's a great idea. The random acts of art, the guerrilla art, was proposed to not be announced because it was a surprise. It was surprise art. So we did have one person who was aware of the art that was
But
going
what
in.
I'm saying is
but-
Brian and Jason,
Yeah.
whether it's Brian or Jason,
Yeah.
they have so many projects going on that without something, it's really hard to, it's hard sometimes just to go, okay, today I'm on Main Street and I don't know where this stuff came from.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important, and we should come up with a process for that. So to keep you informed, and maybe it's not in, again, specifically, the random acts of art was meant to be quiet, really hard to do in a public forum, right?
Well,
So
you
if
could send
there's-
us an email and say, please
Yeah.
don't share this.
Right.
But so that you all
so we
know
can
when you
keep-
see this, what it is.
Right. I think that's a great idea. And we have been, I think Pat alluded to it, we're kind of revamping and rethinking how those say contests or micro grants might be administered so that we can have a format in which we can submit the information, just so that you guys are aware of it. It goes both ways. Being aware of what's happening in the village helps you advocate for the arts, and us being aware of what's happening in the village helps us understand art projects that are happening so that we can speak intelligently about them as well.
Sorry, so real quick, that was going to be, honestly, so, kind of, I guess, I alluded to something later. So that's kind of what I was thinking was the guerrilla art. I thought that was really cool. I could see, like, maybe where Jason or Brian are like, wait, hold on, what's going on? So even if it's a forum to do something so we all know, but the reason for that would be, I got excited about that because then, let's say there's somebody else in the community that wants to do something in their neighborhood, right? And then we can point them to you, and as long as maybe Jason and Brian know, then maybe something kind of, can happen somewhere else too. And in some ways, folks in the neighborhood can see somebody else is doing something neat. And in other places where I've worked, people have kind of said, we want to do something, we just don't know how. And so when you have like almost like a tear sheet or something that shows, here's how you do it, here's how you get the paint, we can help you do that, come to us, we'll set this up. Sometimes that's just one of the barriers from a high schooler getting together with some buddies and doing something kind of neat. So that was kind of my thought moving forward. I guess y'all kind of jumped ahead of me, but I thought that was a neat idea, and it could be fun to see it in other little pockets. And so maybe like a form or a how-to.
Yeah, we're still.
Does
trying
that
to
make
work
sense?
through-
Where somebody
yeah, there's
from
a
the
lot
community
of-
can come to you and say like,
Yep.
"Hey, we like how you did that here. How'd you do it?"
Yeah, and we want to be, I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of the committee, so anyway, Pat, chime in. We want to be a resource, and we want to be in an advisory role for public art that makes its way into the village for a number of reasons. One, we're helping you curate your collection, which has value. If I know a lot of high schoolers, if any group of high schoolers just got together to do a project, it might not be what you actually want in the village, right? So
Fair
there
enough.
is, so having the process and understanding that it did go through and it was seen, and the material, I mean, we're looking at materials. So while like all these painted things like may or may not look like they were thought out, they were. They were in locations that were very deliberate. They were using materials that were very deliberate. There were some projects that didn't go forward because they didn't pass the tests of, is it going to be slippery? Are we going to have a liability? Is it going to be in a spot where it's going to be hard to remove? Is it going to offend someone? We did have a a competition where it was the how-to, where we offered on our website a place for people to submit temporary ideas, and we collected for a year. And we were going to offer small stipends every month in up to, I think we had up to $2,000 that we were going to offer to any artist who wanted to do temporary art. It was not super successful in both ideas that were submitted and also volume of submittals.
Interesting.
So
All right. Well,
I
never-
think
I don't know.
I think the idea is really great, and I'm telling you that because we've tried, and I think we need to work through how would it be most effective in our village with our artist base that's here. And quite honestly, if you look at all of the things that are on there that we've done this year, and all of the things that we plan to do, and all the things that we're actively involved in, and that we have a committee of 6, and we all are volunteers, that one's backburnered for a bit.
I got you. Sorry, it's just like I said, I get
I
that,
think
then I get
it's
excited.
really
And then,
exciting. I think
yeah.
it is really exciting. I do think communication is something that we want to focus on moving forward this year. And the communication of a program like that would be very critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say too that the more people are aware that there is a public art committee in the village, the more people will respond to it and seek it out.
And with our operational budget growing a bit, just based on fundraising and our ability to actually secure some funds, we are now going to be very soon in a position where we can offer stipends to artists for projects. And we're hopeful that we can start kind of doing our own artwork funding as a committee, funding work through support with grants, but, and not relying on projects to come to us. So, yeah.
So I guess if we jump in, have you found like that there are certain grants, or have you found like trends between grants that you've been successful in getting and ones that you haven't, and it's like, oh geez, you know what, this always goes to the I don't know, the people who've got $5 million and
Arts grants are extremely competitive. New York State has an amazing funding program and fund more arts than, I'll just say, any other state. The New York State Council on the Arts is incredible, highly competitive, highly, highly competitive. We are a committee and we don't have, typically you have to submit your financials, your operational budget, and we're young, so we don't really have enough to really make us look as robust as many of the other very successful arts organizations, commissions, and boards across the state. We are not a nonprofit. That puts us at a disadvantage. We, for a lot of grants, we need to go, and the village, Brian's been amazing. I mean, supporting us as the fiscal sponsor for most of our grants that we've gone after. The partnerships served as a fiscal sponsor. As a committee, we can't apply if we're not an eligible applicant for a lot of grants. It's hard. It's just they're competitive grants, so.
Sue, would professional grant writing, like a consultant or
That'd be
something, if we did
amazing.
it? I mean, to me, that's bang for the buck.
I mean,
That's amazing.
you're running down the road that I'm
You
running. It's
throw
okay, well, so what do we need?
$50,000, $5,000 on something, like we did that. I think I wrote 5 or 6 grants for Main Street. I thought they were great. Clearly, the awardees thought differently, and then we finally said, you know what, let's go get some help. We sought it out. Wasn't that expensive, and the return, I think, on $5,000 was $5 million. And we've done that probably 3 or 4 times since I've been here, where we were just, we weren't getting where we needed to be, and they look at it from a different perspective. They know what they have relationships generally. If you get the right grant writer, they have relationships with the people that award them, so they know what they're looking for, the buzzwords, all that stuff. I think that's something worth us doing, and I think the board, that's bang for the buck right there, right? And get some return on investment. To your point, $5,000 is for you to just do basic, de minimis things through the year. It's not meant to fund art. It's meant to operate on basic things. So, and when you're talking about, real art, if you really want to be serious about it, you need money, 30, 40, 50 grand. You want good art, quality art, competency behind it, not just getting some run-of-the-mill to throw something up somewhere. I don't think we want to accept that either. So in order to do that, we don't have $50,000 appropriations to give you. I think it's somewhat appropriate way we can look at what's some professional assistance we can get to put some really competitive grants out there, and then they can work with you on what attributes you need, and you can go through that. But I think that's what we should do.
Yeah, and I think our big push this year is looking at, and Brian, you've worked with us before, the CFA grants it's the program, but we need matching funds. So we have some ideas in place, but I think a professional grant writer that'd be worth every dollar, because we're a group of volunteers and we're not grant writers.
That's the conversation that Brian and I had a few months ago, and I highly support it, that while $5,000 isn't enough to buy any artwork, that we don't have, as Brian said, we don't have the money to put into that. But if we can give a small amount of money that can be used to fund a grant writer, that's going to be beneficial to you in the long run.
Yeah.
Are you guys, are you good? Okay. Coming down here. Tracy, anything? So let's have a conversation after this and plan that we need to have some conversations around this, not in this meeting, but around how the village can help facilitate that happening.
Okay.
All right, so I think that you are looking for approval of these. I'm going to start things off and say, I think all of these pieces of artwork are beautiful and I can see them in our village. I'm going to if you have any questions, any particular things that you really love, really don't love, you're welcome. We'll just go one by one, and then we'll go down here to this end.
I totally love all of these pictures. I think they're going to draw people to the wayfinding signs. It's going to make them more noticeable. And I love that it's the Canal Days poster. It's probably the most appropriate starting point. I think they're great.
Agreed. Big improvement over blank, brown, taggable surfaces.
Down to you.
I think they're great. I like the choices that the committee came up with. And that wasn't as easy as we thought. No. It's like, some we thought would look great, and it was like, oh, that just does not work. We gotta go back to the drawing board.
I think there's a lot you could even do with these 6 things, like maybe a scavenger hunt or a selfie spot. Can you get your, selfie at all 6? Or I don't know. I think there's so many things that probably could be done with this. I love it. It's great.
Brian, are we okay with the tagging on the bottom where it's got the artist name and then the organizations? Is that okay? It falls within everything. All right. I think you've heard back from that. So yeah. Hey, Xander, what do you think?
I just have one question. Is this a one-time thing, or are you going to do this like every 4 years after you take those 6 down?
There you go.
So that's a great question. So this is just the initial artwork that would go up, and the idea is that we would replace in the timeline that Joel had explained. Was it 2 years is the plan?
First is basically after 1 year, second one would be removed after the
Second year. Okay.
and then the third one, by that time,
We'll have a good system in place. Yeah. So we would create, actually, we haven't really discussed this as a committee, but my understanding is that it would be new artwork in the subsequent years. I personally would like to see an actual call or competition so that we get something unique and dimensionally made, so Joel doesn't have to do cropping and for the future installations.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that was my next question. Are you gonna? My next question was if you were gonna have like a competition or something like that on a certain day every year or every other year to find a new piece of artwork to put up on one of those signs.
That's a program we need to develop, but I think that would be the plan, is to have an annual or semi-annual competition. Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Sandra, those are great questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think you're good with this. I have, so you have approval.
Okay.
This is all good.
Okay.
I had something that goes back to one of your slides, which was the picture of Andy May. So Andy May does not work for the DPW. He works for Fairport Electric.
Okay.
And I would encourage you to have a discussion with Brian and perhaps Matt Haggerty and Andy about that piece of artwork, because I think that they had already had some ideas about it. And I think that it's a good opportunity to collaborate. So offline,
Okay.
not tonight, offline, contact Brian to talk about that piece of artwork that Andy was standing with his face through the little hole.
Perfect.
Because they're very aware of it and they want it to be out someplace.
Yeah, so we could talk offline. The committee had looked at some optional locations based on the public art plan and where we have cited for other things that we're thinking about, so. Yeah, we all want to get it out. Awesome.
So
That's
that's
great.
another item taken care
Great.
of. Make
This
an
is a very
appointment, talk to
productive
Brian.
meeting.
And we'll get, I told you it would be,
is
there's
fantastic.
benefit to coming here and
Yeah, well, we
we'll work
know.
through it. Was there
Okay, so
anything
we have
else?
approval on these?
Yeah, these are all
Green light?
approved.
All right.
So go ahead on these. No, do you need an official vote? The minutes will reflect that the board is agreeable to moving forward with all 6 of these art pieces as displayed on the slide that was shown this evening.
Great. Thank you so much.
The one other thing I would just ask is really in facilitation of, there's a lot of thought and detail around big art pieces, but small art pieces, if you can just put something together, it can fly in front of the board. If you don't want anybody to know about it, just say, this is confidential, please, this is a surprise for the community. But just so that as staff or village board members are walking around,
Oh, yeah.
because I assure you that all of us get asked about stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Let me call Brian and see what it is. I have no idea. It's just helpful. And then we can spread the word of, hey, look how cool this is that was done in facilitation by the Fairport Public Arts Committee.
Will do.
I think that would be awesome. And I think when these go up, can you shoot us an email and let us know? Because it would be a great opportunity to go around to each of the signs, like take a picture, like, hey, can you find these signs? Find these signs in Fairport, find these pictures.
Will do. And we usually post on social media too, so that might get out before an email, but I don't know. We'll do our best. But
Thank
we
you.
will communicate when they are scheduled.
But I think you have the assistance of everybody here and
you.
Brian, and I know the partnership is behind this, along with the posts that are done by you, that we all would like to be very supportive. And you never know, we can move up to number 3 on Redfin's list. I don't think so. I'm really like, there's more to come, of more information out in the public space about the Village of Fairport as well. So there are opportunities in the future that we will have to showcase things like the work that's been done by our Fairport Public Arts Committee. There's some other things that might come out soon.
Okay.
We appreciate all the volunteer hours you have put in.
Yeah, very much.
Well, we love our village, so, yeah. Thank you all. I mean, the support you give us, I think Pat shared, I mean, we're just so grateful to be in such an awesome village. And I professionally have worked in a ton of communities, and I gotta say, by far, like, we have the best arts program, so.
I did.
So
I
thank
did.
you.
So I sat in the meeting before. I sit on the Council of Governments, which is all the villages and the town supervisors. So when they proposed that they were going to start working on this at that meeting, I said, Fairport has Public Arts Committee. Go talk to them. We are head and shoulders above the rest of Monroe County, and you're very correct in thinking that and feeling that, and it's something to be very proud of.
Same. This
So,
whole board, everyone should be very proud. Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay. That all went really well. Thank you for being here tonight, and you guys can hang out or you can go, and we're going to move on to our next agenda item. But thank you all for being here tonight. Okay. Yeah, you might want to stick around because Jason's going to talk about the capital projects.
Yeah, so I turned the lights off because I could see
Because you wanted to sleep. See how nice we are to each other, Xander? Okay.
you could see better.
Jason,
We're so excited to hear from you tonight, Jason. Thank you for coming.
Heinz construction workers on bricks have been so accommodating.
We're lucky. We have fantastic contractors working with us.
I have stories beyond stories of the things they've done to go over and above to make sure that the residents can get in and out of their driveways. It's quite something.
My agenda item isn't going to be as well prepared as our Public Arts Committee. This is going to be a little more informal.
Roll with it.
But yep. We so winter's over and now we're neck deep in construction season. I wanted to take the opportunity just to talk to you about what we have, what we're in the midst of, what is on the horizon for this year, and give you an opportunity to ask some questions. I'm sure your constituents and residents, as you see people through the village, are asking you questions, and let you know that I'm here to help you understand what we're doing and certainly ensure that, to direct things towards me, where you're not sure, and, that's what we're there for. So to start with Briggs, it's moving along. What a transformation! If you haven't been down there in the last couple days, it is absolutely remarkable. You can see it coming together. This week, they've laid out the gutters on the west side of the street. We'll look to see probably pouring those gutters begin tomorrow. We have our sidewalk contractor will be in town on the 5th, so we'll have some replacement of the sidewalks along there. We have our milling that's going to begin on the 8th, and then we have paving starting on the 15th. These are all tentatively scheduled things right now. So we're at the mercy of Mother Nature, but so far so good. Things are looking well.
What was the date for the paving?
The paving is going to be between the 14th and the 16th, I
Okay.
anticipate.
Roughly right, 15th.
I was gonna say, careful, this is Rochester, it's gonna snow in 2 weeks.
Could be. We still have one salter in, so we're prepared. We're prepared for all comers. So we did have the, piggybacking on that, the sidewalk contractor who's also in town, and we have some other sidewalk projects planned, or at least anticipated for this year. One of them is continuation of some work on Parse Avenue, which is in need of a facelift. We walked through with the contractor this morning and looked for, it's a unique area. There's some challenges with elevations. If you go to towards the end of Parse Avenue, there's actually a section with steps built into the sidewalk that helps you get up to elevation to enter into those doorways. So we're kind of brainstorming on how we can come up with, I guess, a good alternate, or if we're going to recreate it as it is. The Railroad Street project is underway. Same contractor is doing our gutters there, is doing the gutters on Briggs Avenue, and they've been flip-flopping from one project to the next and putting things all together. So when I left to come here, they were still out there laying out the north side of Railroad Street, and I anticipate them placing gutters there tomorrow as well. We coordinated with all of the business owners and property owners. In fact, we're housing some equipment in the DPW yard for Parrington Paving. So they've all been great neighbors, and we're working together with this. We know it's quite a challenge, and there's unique circumstances. And something I told Brian, I think last week, was we're a small enough community to be able to help each other out and have it not be an issue. So what we've been doing that and trying to take things into account and make sure that it goes smooth as possible for everybody concerned. And streetscape, right? We've got streetscape going. That's been a unique challenge in its own. And I think these challenges, in part, are because it's a grant that's administered by New York State. There's been challenges in ensuring that we're meeting the materials that New York State's looking for. One of the biggest challenges we had was New York State required us to use a specific type of concrete, and in that specific type of concrete, the manufacturer had to submit a mix formula to New York State for testing and approval. And as last week on Wednesday, we still didn't even have our approved concrete mix done.
As I say, we will hear from them next year, right?
Right. So it's challenging. We've got a full-fledged project, and I think that's that the reason that you saw the work to date being done as it's been done is they were trying to get as much as they could done while waiting for this concrete or this approved mix. So luckily, we got word on Friday that that's going to happen. What you'll see moving forward with the construction method, or at least how this project will continue, is you'll see smaller sections, probably 150 or so feet at a time, being removed and excavated, and then the infrastructure being placed, and then them moving forward another 150 foot while they place the concrete behind them. So we won't see like we had on the west side of North Main Street, that we have from DeLand Park A all the way through to the bridge replacement project being excavated and under construction all at once. So it'll be a little bit easier of a pill to swallow, and I think that it'll be a little less impactful for the property owners and the business owners along the corridor as we progress.
Was that a refinement, like from?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say that was the initial plan, and what happened was they had to mobilize in order to be able to start paying their employees. They needed to put work in front of them, or they'd go find other jobs. So it was.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they put everybody on that one spot. Got it all done?
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it's a great selfie to be having cocktails in the afternoon in front of
Yeah, that was
Firehouse
fantastic.
Woodworking.
Yeah. That was
And-
fantastic.
The table is for sale.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys see that picture? Paul and Carolyn, because they were like, the road is ripped up, the entrance is ripped up, and they put down boards so that you could get into their business. They brought a walnut coffee table, put it out on the board, sat there with lawn chairs, and were drinking wine and beer, and just said,
Well, there's,
cocktails,
like, construction
and the
vehicles
table
all
is
around
for
them.
sale.
It's hilarious.
And then one day before that, they had the front end loader full of gravel, and they took one of her welcome signs and stuck it in the front of the front end loader, and took a picture of that. It's like, these people should be working in social media.
I guess two quick things, like without getting too technical, is it just a more porous concrete or something to allow?
New York State DOT came out 2 years ago, and they said, hey, look, within the next 2 years, we're going to phase into something called a PEM mix. Now it escapes me. Basically, it's an engineered concrete that has some chemical additives that is supposed to make it a better longevity for our climate.
Gotcha, okay.
That mix gets submitted to from the manufacturer, gets submitted to New York State. New York State takes it and does the standard testing.
Yep.
Concrete has testing that gives strength tests through specific milestones, 7-day, 14-day, 28-day, and they need to reach a certain compressive strength, a certain tensile strength. All those things get incorporated into it, and if it passes, then they can use that recipe moving forward for a DOT project. I think that the local manufacturers probably were hoping that New York State would back off of it, and they did not submit these mixed formulas to New York State in a very timely fashion. And what happened was, this is the first year that it became required. They were no longer allowed to use what's called a legacy mix, which is what's been used, forever and ever
And we should,
on a New York State project.
so we should also anticipate that same concrete being used on Thomas Creek?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm just saying, it's like, it would be a real headache for whoever had to maintain it. to have to worry about two different mixes there. And
Yeah,
it might not
so,
seem like a big deal, but it can be a headache if that's what.
Right, so,
Okay.
for the Thomas Creek project, we've submitted all of our designs to New York State, and Ramsey Constructors has accepted that. And the portions that are within the New York State envelope of project will match what work that we're doing in the rest of the corridor, except done by a different contractor.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank you for coming to our Arbor Day event. We've completed our tree plantings for the year already, so earlier in fall, we had some plantings. We finished our plantings for this year. We planted almost 30 trees, or a little more than 30 trees this year. To give some type of reference, in the past, I think, we were planting maybe 15 to 18 trees a year at one point. The process and how we plant trees is drastically different. Now we're excavating the site, we're planting the tree to an appropriate depth with, additional overdig so that the roots have a chance to grow, replacing with fresh topsoil. These trees are being staked and banded for support. They receive a natural mulch bed to help keep moisture in, and we're placing gator bags around them. Gator bags serve a couple purposes. One, kind of protects the base of the tree from overzealous weed whackers and things like that, our lawn mowers, and once we get into season, it allows us to provide for a way to make sure we're watering them. And so far, since we began this process, we found that the survival rate is far better on these trees, and the tree board's been very, very happy with the initiatives that the DPW took. So it does cost in labor and some materials, but I think that the dividends are absolutely worth it. So we're proud of that initiative, and we'll continue to do that. With Sue here, this is our first growing season with the plantings that we did on the south bank. It's a beautiful layout. Thank you, Sue. Part of that project that we removed from the contract was the irrigation, and the continued maintenance was something that we decided to take upon ourselves in effort to really save. The alternates that came back were very pricey for that work to be done. So we used Village Forces to install the irrigation systems. We had Sue check on us and make sure we were doing it up to snuff. And then the continued maintenance, in lieu of having a landscaping company come and do the maintenance. We began to prepare the beds already this year, and we've got some additional direction from Sue already. Make sure her babies are taken care of. But one of the things that the board did approve is, within the budget, is to have us have a gardener, someone that would maintain not just the south bank, but all of our planting beds. And I think that it'll go a long way to have someone that is truly dedicated to that work. All the projects that we've taken on in the last this year, really, we've done in a fashion that we're trying to squeeze everything we can from not just our Village Forces, but the pocketbook too. Namely, the projects that we have going on Briggs Avenue, the projects that we have going on Railroad Street, and we have some additional things, we're having them managed in-house by DPW staff. It goes a long way to bring that management from our staff as opposed to hiring it out. And it really allows us or grows our bandwidth to do more projects and really fiscally like provide more for our residents with the amount that much more work that we can do. And it'll take some time before we really hit our stride. This is new to the team at the DPW. They've embraced it with arms wide open. They've been excited about it. The members of the DPW team have knocked on my door more than once, and different people saying, "Hey, I want to manage this," or "I'd really like to take something on." And we've seen that with both Todd and Chris. Todd's helping us manage the streetscape project. Chris Castrocini's helping us manage the Briggs and Railroad Street projects. And I'm super impressed with their efforts so far. Josh Abbott, if you've met him, he's taken on the role of being our lead for landscaping and cleanup and things like that. He's got such a knack for it. And I'm really proud of the work that he's done in that regard too. What questions can I answer about what's going on or what we have in the future?
Do you guys have anything down here?
I haven't seen googly eyes on anything yet.
If you looked at me today, on when I got to problem number 10 today, probably I might have had googly eyes.
Fair. I was also wondering, I know at some point in time we had gotten an updated list of the trees that were going in on Main Street. I don't know if we can get another copy of that. I don't need it like immediately, but if someone has it somewhere, if you just want to shoot me an email.
Yeah, it's in the construction drawings. We can provide that. It's easy enough.
I couldn't find mine, so that's why I asked.
You couldn't find.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Because I know we had gotten a list at some point in time. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's all I got. Thank you for all your hard work. I know you guys
Thanks.
are crushing it out there.
I'm super proud of our team.
Do you have something, Adam?
No, just want to echo, thank you for all the work, the hard work you all are putting in. I'm sure every day just kind of feels like standing in the middle of a hurricane, trying to keeping the hatches battened. But also to emphasize the work that you and the tree board have been doing too. Like you said, we're doubling the number of trees that are planted every year, and on top of that, the best practices that have been implemented have led to an improved survival rate. Because that's the other thing, right? You could plant 15 trees each year, but if only half of them make it through to the next season, well then, you could have just burned the money and, maybe had a s'more. So thank you for all the work you're doing and all the meetings you show up for, because I know it's time. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Emily.
How is the canal bank looking? How are the plants doing down there?
Looks gorgeous.
They look amazing. Okay.
We've been through it once already.
So do you go, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you go down there and go, come on, babies, grow, babies, grow? Do you encourage the plants to grow?
She speaks to
She's a free, she weeds daily for us on her own time after work, which thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt that. I'll let you get back to that.
Thank you for doing that. I love the oak leaf hydrangeas, especially that are down there. They're just gorgeous. They're like one of my. Oh no, okay. Speaking of talking to the plants, I really did do this. On Friday morning, Arbor Day, 5 a.m., I walked Main Street and said goodbye to the trees. I really did do that. It made me feel better. I thought that the tree planting went amazingly well. I thought that the partnership with the Joanna Perrin Garden Club was amazing.
That was Natasha. She was the liaison for that, and boy, she made it super seamless. And she put in the work. She spent the time with the kids, polled them for what kind of trees they were looking for, all different things. And as we talked, that planting kind of morphed into maybe something that we could continue year over year. So where we planted that tree, Chris
On Hallberger,
Castrocini and
yes.
I went out and we laid it out so that we'd have planting sites at a, you know, a uniform spread all the way across, so then we could fill that tree lawn year over year and kind of see how it comes together. So that first one was the first tree, it'll be in the middle, and then we can plant.
That's exciting.
Chris has the personality for all of that. I mean, he was really good with the kids too.
He did a fantastic job addressing the kids. I was,
Yeah.
again, I'm so proud of my guys. But yeah, he did a great job addressing the kids and making it fun. And it was a different side. I don't see that very often with him. So that was fun to see too.
I think that power washing the promenade down here must have scarred him. Because when he said to the kids, "Do you know what DPW workers do?" And they said, "No." And he goes, "We power wash the promenade." It's like the first thing out of his mouth. And
I think
thought, "Dear Lord, I think we've
Megan
scarred him."
Megan mentioned it to me, but I mean he was running a power washer or pressure washer for weeks and weeks, and for probably a month afterwards, he looked like a troll from under the bridge without he was hunched over.
Okay.
Yeah, we needed to give him calcium pills or something.
I do have a question. I know we talked last year at the end of the season about the hanging baskets, the longevity of those, and them kind of like browning early. And I was just wondering if maybe we've thought about trying to go to larger baskets so they actually hold more water, or some different things that potentially we could lengthen the life of those.
So the feedback that I
Hanging
got
baskets.
from the nurseries was it's time. I mean, once you get into September, they've lived and now they're done. We can go with larger baskets, but there's plenty of water. In fact, later in the season, we actually taper from all the watering because the soil remains saturated. We've tried different things, less fertilizer, more fertilizer. We've tried in different areas. Okay, this will be our control group. This will be our more fertilizer area.
Yeah.
This will be our less fertilizer area.
I know.
It appears that it's simply the flowers that we've selected. Their season is done.
Okay. I just was, sometimes you go to other places and you see their flowering baskets doing just fine. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why? So I don't know. Maybe it was it could have been the variety, perhaps. So, but I thought if there was something we could do, if that is maybe enlarging the basket size so that they actually hold more water, and that.
I'll talk to the
it?
nursery and see if there would be any benefit to replacing our baskets with something larger, but that wasn't something that was brought up when we talked to them.
Okay, thank you. I know we've
Are
talked
we
about this
doing-
before. I don't mean to.
Basket. I would expect that we would do pots, but are you planning to do hanging baskets?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done tons of baskets. We have like Lithbridge Lane East and West
Okay,
and
I'm
other
like,
parks.
not on
and
Main Street
Not on
though,
Main
right?
Street, probably.
different parks and stuff like that, but like Main Street itself, no. But
Okay.
any place we can put a pot, he's going to throw a pot everywhere this
Yeah.
year. So
So this year, we're continuing to do baskets. We're going to do baskets up and down Lithbridge Lane and down Lithbridge Lane East, down Lithbridge Lane West, and a portion of the canal. We'll also do potted plants like we did last year. And then we purchased additional potted plants, so in hopes that we could still adorn Main Street as the project progresses. So we can pick those up, move them to a different location as the project progresses up and down Main Street. We can rearrange those on relative ease.
Is I'm blanking on his name.
Steve will be back.
Okay. He does great. Yeah.
Unless you have
I'm all set. Thank
another
you.
question. Tracy, do you have some questions?
Just segue.
From last year was like the first annual, the community can come, show up on a Saturday and plant the pots.
I planted them all already.
You did?
I did. So,
I wasn't gonna say anything because your plate's a little full. That's why it was like, if it doesn't happen, that's okay.
yeah, thank you. My plate has been pretty full. I wanted to get them established as early as possible, and I've been concerned about being able to execute that event in a way that it was successful like it was last year. I look forward to bringing it back, but this wasn't the year for it.
Totally gotcha on that.
Thank you.
I think that's a good decision.
I had that same question, but I knew Tracy was gonna ask it, so I'm like,
So yes, we have potted plants. Yes, we have far more potted plants than we've ever had.
They were gorgeous last year.
Yeah, they
Just such
sure
an
were.
asset.
But this year they're going to be they'll be out and established. We're hoping before Canal Days.
Great. I have a question about the sidewalks on Parse Ave. So the little pocket park at the end, that doesn't have sidewalks, does it? Weren't we gonna put sidewalks in there? Sue, do you remember?
The postpartum part?
Yeah.
So I understood that the pocket park or the vacant land, the pocket park was tabled until another year for another year's capital project.
So the sidewalks we're doing are on the other side of the street?
The sidewalks that we looked at today are a continuation of the sidewalks that we replaced during the redevelopment of the cannery. Halfway down where the building splits from 25 Parse Ave to 111 Parse Ave. It's all the same building by eye, but there's two different parcels, two different owners. We terminated the sidewalk improvements at that line. Looking at it, if you have an opportunity to go down there and look at it, it's not in fantastic shape. It's not maintained very well. Needs replacement.
Okay.
I would say he's correct. It's in really, really rough shape. And then furthermore, since we started, the village board passed parking on Parse. Like today, we went by there. There's 40 cars on Parse. I mean, it was being used as what we want, but they're walking on everything but concrete. I mean, there's just nothing there. It's falling apart. It's a tripping hazard. It's dark. So it deserves an uplift for safety and just aesthetics. You go by there, it's like going to a different neighborhood when as soon as the old concrete starts and the new concrete.
I encourage you to
stops.
look at
It's
it.
rough.
Take a walk.
I knew
down
it was pretty goofy because
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's down there.
There's portions that are asphalt. There's portions that are concrete. There's portions that are it's just deteriorated to.
There's curbs and no curbs. I mean,
It needs a refresh and it deserves it. It deserves it. There's as I was out there with a contractor, there's people that are investing in their homes there, and we want to continue to see those investments and those improvements from the private side, and I think this is something that supports that.
all good?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a quick question. I know it's not our project, but do you have any updates on what they're doing and where they are? Whoops, thank you.
I know it's not our project. Do you have any updates on what New York State is doing on Main Street?
Ramsey Constructors so far has been really fantastic. They're moving ahead well. I think that this project is small in comparison to typical projects that they do. They've been coring and drilling the helical piles for the bridge supports. The owner of Ramsey Constructors has been great in communication, and I think that we're going to actually work out some adjustments to the limits of the projects to, they'll help us share in some of the burdens that are required for CSX work. So they were,
That's good.
they were open to that. And I guess that's probably as far as I want to take that. But we're real happy about that. There's some limestone blocks that were used in the creation of the bridge abutments from when it was originally constructed. Those were offered to us, and I graciously accepted. So I think that we'll have some really neat, unique limestone construction blocks that we can use for projects throughout the village. And
That's great.
yeah, which is really neat because, you know, that's what you find in the quarry right here in Penfield, you know, right in our back door. So it's kind of native to us, you know. So we'd like to be able to use that.
At some point in time, right now, that walkway is way over right in front of the Tony's Shoe Repair. It's really close to the wall. I know because I've gone over it on bike and by foot at least 7 times in the last couple of days. At some point, as they get more towards the middle of the road, what will happen? How will they, because are they going to go underneath the building with this bridge since the creek goes underneath the building?
No, they'll terminate at the face of the building.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Well, really, they'll terminate at the right of way.
So that'll probably just stay like that with that depth across up to the building for the entire project.
It should be for the lion's share of the project.
Okay.
That's what you're
All
going to
right.
see.
Xander, do you know where we're talking about on Main Street? Okay. Sometime when you're out and about with your family, or if you're out and about, walk up to North Main Street. It's on the other side of the railroad tracks. They've got the road blocked off because there's a creek that runs underneath Main Street, and they're New York State, not the Village of Fairport, is fixing the underground bridge that carries the Thomas Creek underneath the building across the street. And it goes out back. So that's where we're talking about. Do you have any questions? Okay, that's all right. I think that's it for me. I just wanted to know if you felt like I'll ask one last question. And this has to do with CSX, and I totally get it if you don't have an answer. Do you get any indication that CSX is going to come out towards the end of this project and fix the railroad tracks?
No, I don't have that indication at all.
Okay. Do you, would it be useful if,
Yes.
okay, I will. I will. I don't know that our senator right now has the bandwidth to really pay attention to the Village of Fairport. But I will send a note to Senator Schumer's office and his folks in the office to say, we need help with this, that when the project is done, that those railroad tracks are in extreme disrepair.
That leverage will be helpful also on as you, you know, as the board members travel the village and talk to residents, if they bring that up. On the CSX website, there's an opportunity to
Thank you for this.
notify CSX to crossings that are in disrepair or need attention. So immediately on the CSX website, you can go there. There's a link to report to CSX, and you can.
So all of those folks who are sitting here and anybody who may be watching this at home, if you have noticed that the railroad tracks in the middle of the Village of Fairport are in disrepair, please go to the CSX website and complete a crossing report to let them know how you would like this to be repaired.
I think you've
Thank
already
you,
got
Jason.
some folks on it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, it's squeaky wheel stuff.
Yep. We appreciate that. Okay.
Can we put out a social media post on our new gardener so we know who that is?
Absolutely. We're working through our summer hirings right now. Brian's apparently a Canva genius. He created a
Village Manager White, would you please put out announcement about our new gardening?
Well, no. He put out an announcement that we needed summer help, and I think in the past 3 days since he created it, I've had 10 people call me.
Great.
That's great.
So we'll
That's
be fully
terrific.
staffed and as we bring these people on, we finalize their employment documentation through Megan's office, then we'll certainly introduce them to the community.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for all of your time, your effort, your care, and your development of your team.
Yep,
That's incredible.
that is it's a critical function. You know, we need to continue to build our bench, give the ones that aspire to an opportunity to progress in their careers, and when they demonstrate that they're interested in the next steps, that we can let them take advantage and
That's great.
support them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have to stick around for this next topic, or are you
I don't think so.
okay? Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Jason
Thank
and I
you.
already
Yeah.
talked about the feral cats, so.
Oh,
sure.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
need to talk about it.
okay.
Thank you.
Do we need to cover it tonight?
I think that we should just have a simple
Okay.
conversation about it.
Okay. So that will take us to item number 5. Village Manager White, do you want to update us on the feral cat management discussion?
No, I don't have anything to update, but I know it's something Trustee
So-
Mishler wanted to chat about.
I
Okay.
attended the OSED meeting last week. Yeah, last week, and it was brought to the attention of OSED by during their public forum session. There was a couple of points made that, if left unchecked, that it could become a serious problem. In fact, John Amakui has stated and has some evidence that it actually is already a serious problem in some residential areas. There's actually a board member that sits on OSED who, in her neighborhood in the town of Perrington, not necessarily in the village, there was a community of 35 cats and multiplying. That's obviously spreading all kinds of, it can spread disease, and if left unchecked, it can become a problem. So the ask, I think, of OSED is that the village partners with them to try to help educate community members around how best to manage this. Things like discussion about abandonment, discussion about neutering, responsible pet ownership, and the things that our community members can do to help keep this problem from becoming worse.
Sure.
Okay.
So-
I think,
And I can share some light on it. So we've been dealing with this for years internally. We've probably removed 30 feral cat structures within the public right-of-way throughout the village over the years, OSED property. People, there's some now that you could see them, but we don't go on private property to remove them. Obviously, that's illegal, that are feeding them. There's a big colony near Country Max on their property right on the hill. Country Max actually feeds them. I've met with the manager over there regarding this issue. I've met with the individuals that are facilitating these actions personally, met with them and talked with them. They're just big cat lovers. They go, they pick them up. Some of them try to take them in and have them spayed and neutered. And if they can find them homes, fine. If not, they bring them right back here. And the OSED kind of trolley bed area is a spot for them because it's kind of wild, correct? So we're well aware of it. We know exactly who the culprits are, who's doing it, what's going on. I've met with them a number of times. It's really challenging when you have folks that have such a heart that they want to, help these animals that they believe to be stray or whatever, but it really creates a significant problem. There's a counter to the positivity of feeding these wild animals. And it's challenging when you have certain businesses and groups that are
Sure.
that are
So one thing that was
They're
sort of brought
engaging
up
it
at
pretty
OSAD was sort of the education around the actual quality of life for the animals that are stray, to speak to, you know, to the, I guess, the minds and hearts of these individuals that care for these cats, and that this type of life isn't really a quality life for these animals to begin with. I know that they talked about an organization called Rock Cats that potentially could become a partner with the village to help trap, neuter, and release as a possible method.
That is the agency that's working with the feeder in question.
Okay.
I've met with them.
Okay. The one ask from OSED was that they wouldn't be released into the preserves at the wetlands, because this is a preserves, and there's owls and you know, otters? No.
There can be minks. There
What's
can
the one
be
that chops on the trees? Beaver. Thank you. Beaver, and especially during the spring months, things.
I believe I just watched somebody feed the cats on my computer right now in the wetlands area. I mean, it's a thing. I just literally watched somebody park, grab food, and go out there.
Okay.
So we've been watching.
I
for
was
it.
down there.
They just did it.
There was a group of us that went down just to pick up litter on Sunday, and I saw several stray cats. Right. So I think that the ask from OSED, and I agree with this, and I guess I was hoping to for board members' kind of thoughts and ideas to kind of add to this, was to start maybe doing some social media campaign around best practices and what we can do as a community. If, you know, I mean, I've even seen them, and I've seen the stray cats in my own neighborhood. What we should do, because they become quite a nuisance.
I think that's also a ask for the town of Perrington, since they have animal control and licensing. Perhaps they have somebody who would like to come in and talk and look at that, as well as Lollipop Farm. I don't, you know, we were talking earlier today, I don't know that Lollipop Farm will take feral cats. I've known people who have done rehousing and spading and neutering, and it becomes more and more challenging. But ultimately, I mean, I think if we're looking for guidance on the best way to handle them, it's to go to the town of Perrington and say, okay, you have an animal control department. What are your recommendations that can be pushed out to not just the village of Fairport, but the entire community? And can you, as animal control, because we don't have an animal control department, can you, from a town level, start sharing some of that information? Because it's a problem. It's not just a problem in the village.
Sure.
It's a problem in the town.
So they don't pick up cats to town, and we have the DEC involved. They're aware of the feral cat issue and what we can do, and we're going to work with them for some educational things or some best practices or other potential solutions, and we'll try to do some of that, do some of the educational campaigns that Trustee Mishler mentioned. But it's you can do that all you want, but when you have active folks that are
Disregarding.
doing this, it's really hard. It's really hard to do. And once a cat's really feral, it's hard to place a feral cat. They're wild forever. There's no going back. It's a challenging thing. It's the every community I've ever worked for. We've had these discussions at a legislative level. Same discussions, the same comments we're having today. It's a really, really hard thing.
I feel like it's
to deal
ramped up
with.
though in the last like 3 or 4 years.
They're around.
They're definitely around.
They're definitely around. I mean, I got them in my neighborhood a mile from here. I let the dog out at 9 o'clock before I go to bed. You know, we take it to the yard, and that's all you hear is meow, meow, and the cats are kind of creeping up my own yard to see my dog at night, right? While it's doing its thing, and it's becoming a thing. But I can tell you, my neighbor
Feeds them.
facilitates it. So.
So I mean, I appreciate all of this, and I completely understand this is a complex issue. I just, you know, I'd like to see our village do what we can do to help facilitate further discussion, education. I think that's all we can.
So, maybe to help move this along, Brian, if you could inquire with the town of Perrington and Animal Control or the DEC for any tips that they have that we can pass along to residents, and if you would share that with all of us as an email, we can all promote it out on our social media, and you know, those two organizations are going to have more to offer than we do, or than our village staff is going to have, and
Is there
we'll just
any-
all push it out.
Sorry, is there anything that can be done to address the feeding going on at Country Max?
No, it's private property. There's nothing we can do about it. And when we went out there and tried to meet with them and talk to them, and one of them even got confrontational. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so lived in Miami for about 6 years. There's dogs, cats, and yeah, and there'd be times in my backyard. I bought a trap, and I'd take them someplace, you need to get them fixed, and then you can re-release them. So yeah, maybe it is just some education, making sure that people know what resources are out there. Get some flyers up, like, you know, I know we've got the stuff, the little cubbies or whatever we want to call it, pamphlet holders there. Maybe public library would be happy to show something, but a city that big, yeah, there wasn't always like a massive campaign. So at least for me, from my experience, the one thing that I could think of is just sharing what resources are out there in case there is somebody who wants to do something about it, right? So what do you do? How can you do it? And where can you go? Outside of that, yeah, I'm not sure, you know, folks who are going to do what they're going to do. I guess we can't force them to change, but if we can help other folks who are trying to be helpful, then maybe that's the thing.
I think I understand the board sentiment. Do what we can, work with who
Yeah,
we can to minimize the impacts. I understand completely what
and
you're,
I know
what you're asking.
DPW
I
has
agree.
helped a ton with removing those
We
heavy
pick them up
houses.
where we can. If it's on public property, they're picked up and removed. But I can tell you, I see some 5 feet off public property, and I will not let our guys go on there and even remove it. It's on private property. It's theft at that point. We don't touch it. We know that they're probably put there randomly, not by the property owner, but we just don't touch them.
Yeah.
You can't go down
I
that
think
road.
some people think that are even unaware that these cats are feral. I think that, like, I've seen posts of people, asking if people have lost a cat. So there is a level of not full understanding of what's happening in our community.
I do know that I have a share of cats who cross my front porch at 3:00 in the morning, and I don't recognize any of them. So they're everywhere.
I didn't expect we were going to come up with a complete solution to all feral cat problem in this
but
meeting tonight, but
that's the opportunity.
Yeah, I just
let's get some tips from DEC and from Animal Control, and we can do our best to publicize those and share with those.
Yep, I think that sounds great.
Our community, and maybe it'll change somebody's mind about how they operate. You're not going to change everybody's mind,
I agree.
unfortunately.
And being sensitive to those different opinions and perspectives is important too.
Sure.
So,
Are we complete with that? Emily, do you feel
I
complete
feel
with that?
so complete.
Okay.
We can.
Then from there, our upcoming meetings, we have a village board meeting Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. There is a public hearing on local law number 2 at that particular board meeting. The public hearing will be roughly around 6 p.m. There's a village board work session on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By trustee Boyka,
Second.
Oh,
Oh, go
by
for
trustee
it.
Who got it? Mishler or
Trustee
Bonaski?
Bonaski. Oh, okay.
Pick one.
All right, I got it.
Bonaski. Okay. Whatever Megan wrote down, and it's 8:16 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Then that will adjourn our meeting. I want to thank all of the guests that we had here this evening. There was a lot of great discussion. It was a great opportunity to hear from our Public Arts Committee, from Jason Kaluza, from Julie Melnick, from our new Student Advisory Committee member, Xander. And we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, that's it.